gentlemen, stopwatches at the ready. It is a privilege to introduce the best man, Mr. Chris Hare.
Thank you, Robert. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In case you hadn't guessed, I'm the groom's little brother. The upgrade, if you will. This is actually the first time I've made a speech, and it's true when they say it's a little nerve-wracking. I only feel slightly better that I'm not the only person in the room who's apprehensive. Okay, this is actually the first time I've made a speech, and it's true when they say it's a little nerve-wracking. I only feel slightly better knowing that I'm not the only person in the room who is a little apprehensive. But then again, she has just married my brother. It's fair to say that over the years, I've lived up to being that annoying little brother, and I have no intentions of changing that today. But before I begin, I'd like to congratulate the happy couple. I can't think of two people who are more perfect to be with one another. Claudia, you look absolutely amazing. You're such a warm-hearted and fun-loving woman, and Nick is so lucky to now call you his wife. Nick, you're my brother. You scrubbed up pretty well. To the bridesmaids, you all look fantastic, and you've done a great job in supporting Claudia. Now, I did have a line about getting Claudia to church on time, but we'll leave that. I'd also like to echo Nick's comments and thank Jamie and Sue for hosting us today. Also to our mum and dad, and lastly, to Nick and Claudia. I know how much time and effort you put in to organising today, and it's been so great. So thank you. Lastly, I'd like to thank everyone here for being here today to share Nick and Claudia's special day with them, and in particular, those who travelled long distances. Seriously though, it is an honour to be your best man, Nick, and to be standing up here today. So where do I begin with Nick? Well, he's 4 years older than me, so growing up, I've always looked up to him, physically. I hoped that one day I'd be as big and as tall as Nick, so I could get revenge for all those beatings I received. But unfortunately, that will never happen. Like most brothers, we were, and still are, pretty competitive. Always wanted to be the winner, whether that was a kickabout in the garden, or simply a game of Monopoly, as Claudia unfortunately had to witness last Christmas. It wasn't pretty. I also learnt a lot from Nick. He taught me the art of how to wind someone up without quite crossing the line. But at times, I'd annoy Nick just a little too much, and I'd get my payback, typically through a healthy dead-on. A moment I remember well was when I did cross the line. On that occasion, I'd annoy Nick so much that he ran away from home. He packed up a bag, grabbed his bike, and left. At the time, I felt terrible. Would I ever see my brother again? Was he gone forever? What I later learned, some years after the event, was that Nick had just cycled down the road, sat himself under a tree for an hour or so. But he soon started feeling a little hungry. And as quickly as he left, he returned home when he realised dinner would be ready. Despite me giving Nick plenty of grief growing up, he was an extremely kind and forgiving brother and would always look out for me. A story I'm regularly reminded about was during my first days of primary school, when he would have to accompany me to assemblies because I was too scared to go in by myself. But Nick, I realise you too have a mischievous side, and you worked out the benefits of having a younger brother who was eager to please and would do pretty much anything you'd say. One such example was using me as a human punch bag when you were about 9 or 10. I'm not quite sure why I agreed to this, or if I was coerced into it, but Nick and childhood friend, and also usher today, Andy McDonald, would each don a boxing glove and dish out punishment until I was reduced to crying on the floor. Mum, you probably not know about this story because to stop me crying for help, they would start counting down, boxing style, until I'd get back up. Apparently, I didn't want to be counted out and lose. And that mischievous side has continued through Nick's life. A particular incident became quite infamous on one of Nick's ski seasons. One evening, Nick, together with a fellow seasonaire, Carl, also an usher today, I wonder why, decided to take one of the company's Land Rovers for a little spin without telling their manager. It had recently snowed and the roads were slippery. As Nick was making his way around a hairpin, he lost control and the Land Rover ended up veering towards the edge of the road. Past the edge was nothing, just a sharp descent. Nick battled to regain control, but to no avail. The Land Rover eventually ploughed through a snowbank and rested on the edge, the back wheels just making contact with the road. For those struggling to picture this, just think of the scene in The Italian Job. And when a French reporter appeared on the scene and started taking photographs, it didn't look like this story would end well. Despite the image of the Land Rover appearing on the front page of the local newspaper and the company receiving a €500 bill to tow the car out, Nick and Carl somehow avoided punishment. So Jamie, I'm surprised you trusted Nick to drive your Land Rover to church today. It was also on that season that Nick met Claudia. I say this season because ski seasons became a habit of Nick's, which he struggled to give up. Eventually he quit after his 5th season when Claudia finally put her foot down. I was a little upset about this, as it put an end to my cheap ski trips. Anyway, I digress. So both Nick and Claudia were seasonaires in the glitzy and glamorous surroundings of Courchevel and the French Alps. Unfortunately, both were doing the unglamorous work of chalet boy and chalet girl. But they were having the time of their lives. I went to stay with Nick for a few weeks and was introduced to Claudia. At first, I found it a little strange that my older brother was dating someone younger than me, and I gave Nick plenty of stick for the age difference. What I later learned is Claudia is actually far more mature than me, so age really is just a number. As I left France, I thought their relationship was no more than a holiday romance, and I probably wouldn't see Claudia again. This seemed confirmed when Claudia, who had initially added me as a friend on Facebook, subsequently defriended me. I've not forgotten. However, I learned their separation was short-lived. They continued to keep in touch and eventually decided to make a go of it. And after Claudia made it through university and persuaded Nick that the ski season life was over, they settled in London. I really got to know Claudia when I moved to London in 2013. Nick and Claudia were in search of a new housemate. I'm sure they tried their best to find someone else, but eventually settled on me. Living with them for those 18 months was so much fun, and I was able to witness firsthand the special bond they have with one another. It was during those years that Claudia became a sister to me, and I finally had the strength in numbers to win any argument against Nick. I could always rely on Claudia to take my side, and I would always take Claudia's. Nick didn't stand a chance. Sorry, mate. I also witnessed the strength of their relationship. They went through some difficult and stressful events, which would have been enough to break up most couples. But the support they offered to one another during that time was testament to their special bond. It was also the little things they did for one another that ensured their happiness. One example I remember was whoever was first to bed would always put toothpaste on the other person's toothbrush, without fail. It still happens, apparently. They were also keen on creating surprises for each other. I remember well on Easter Sunday when Nick created a surprise Easter egg hunt for Claudia in the flat. That morning, I woke up a little hungover to the sound of Claudia's footsteps and screaming as she ran around the flat like a giddy 5-year-old finding the hidden Easter eggs. I should also congratulate and thank Claudia for putting up with both of us. I can imagine being outnumbered by the Hearn brothers was never easy, especially when there were multiple bikes in the living room or when we hogged the TV to watch just one more football match. But you never once complained. But back to Nick. You're an awesome brother, and I'm proud to call you my best mate. It's fair to say that brothers don't always see eye to eye growing up, but any grief we gave each other was always offset by our unbreakable friendship. We have shared some fantastic times together, from skiing and snowboarding through waist-deep powder and Whistler, to watching Spurs at White Hart Lane. Although we are now a few thousand miles apart on either side of the pond, I know you'll always be there for me, and I will always be there for you, and you too, Claudia. Now, it only remains for me to get you all on your feet, please. How long? 3 minutes? And with charge glasses, please. I'd like you to join me in toasting the new Mrs. and Mrs. Hearn, Nick and Claudia. I wish you all the love. I wish you all the love and happiness in your new married life together.